The Galactic Academy floated in the neutral zone between three star systems, a monument to interspecies cooperation and education. At least, that was what the brochures said. Reality painted a different picture. Chen wiped the purple slime off her jacket for the third time that week. The Crovan students thought it was hilarious to spray their mucus at the handful of humans attending the prestigious institution. She kept her head down, clutching her datapad against her chest as she navigated the crowded corridor. "Hey, look everyone, the little Deathworlder is trying to ignore us again." Maya's jaw clenched. She recognized that voice. Zarak, a Threxian, who stood nearly 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. His species had dominated this sector for 3 centuries, and he never let anyone forget it. "Come on, Zarak, leave her alone." That was Finn, one of the 2 other human students. He stood near his locker, looking uncomfortable, but not quite brave enough to intervene directly. "Oh, the other monkey wants to play hero?" Zarak's laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. His entourage, consisting of a Velnari and 2 Crovan thugs, closed ranks behind him. "Why do you Deathworlders even come here? Your planet barely qualified for galactic citizenship 5 years ago." Maya kept walking, her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. "Pick your battles, little tiger. Not every insult deserves a war." But Zarak wasn't finished. His primary hand shot out, grabbing Maya's shoulder with enough force to make her gasp. The corridor went silent. Everyone knew touching a human without permission violated about 15 different Academy regulations. But Zarak's family donated enough credits to build a new wing every semester. "I asked you a question, Deathworlder." Maya turned slowly, looking up at the alien who towered over her. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her voice came out steady. "Let go of me." "Or what?" Zarak's face split into what passed for a smile among Threxians, revealing 3 rows of crystalline teeth. "You'll report me? My father and the headmaster play graviton ball together every weekend. You think anyone cares about your complaints?" His grip tightened. Maya felt something pop in her shoulder, and tears sprang to her eyes. Not from pain, though that was bad enough. From rage, pure white-hot rage, that started in her gut and spread through her entire body like wildfire. "Last warning," her voice dropped an octave. "Remove your hand." Zarak laughed. His friends laughed. Half the corridor laughed. Even some of the younger students who usually avoided the daily dramas were giggling behind their appendages. That was when Maya moved. Her grandmother had served in the Earth Defense Forces before retiring to teach martial arts. She'd started training Maya when she was 4 years old, not because she expected her granddaughter to become a soldier, but because she believed every human needed to know how to protect themselves in a galaxy that still saw them as primitive newcomers. Maya's left hand came up in a blur, striking the pressure point at Zarak's elbow joint. Threxian anatomy shared some surprising similarities with humans, a fact she'd researched extensively after her first week at the Academy. His grip released involuntarily. Before he could react, she pivoted, using his own momentum against him. Her foot swept behind his knee, the same knee she'd watched him favor after graviton ball practice. 8 feet of arrogant alien crashed to the floor with a sound like a small earthquake. The corridor erupted. Students scattered, some recording on their devices, others running to get help or simply to avoid being witnesses. Maya stood over Zarak, breathing hard, her shoulders screaming in protest. "You..." Zarak struggled to his feet, his face darkening to a shade that indicated severe embarrassment among his species. "You dare! I warned you!" Maya's hands shook, but she kept them at her sides. "You grabbed me first. Everyone saw it. I'll crush you." Zarak lunged forward, all 4 arms reaching for her. Maya ducked under his grasp, but she wasn't fast enough to avoid the backhand from his secondary arm. The blow caught her across the face, spinning her into the wall. Stars exploded across her vision. She tasted copper. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard Finn shouting. Other voices joined in, some calling for security, others cheering Zarak on. The mob mentality of teenagers transcended species barriers. Maya pushed herself off the wall. Blood dripped from her split lip onto the pristine floor. Something cold settled in her chest, replacing the fire. This was beyond anger now. This was calculation. Zarak charged again, confident in his size advantage. Maya waited until the last possible second, then dropped into a slide, passing between his legs. As she went by, her elbow struck the back of his knee with every ounce of force she could muster. Threxians might be bigger and stronger, but humans had something that evolution on a gravity-heavy Deathworld had given them. Bone density that could shatter lesser species' appendages. Muscle fibers that could generate explosive power, and most importantly, a nervous system that didn't shut down from pain the way more civilized species did. Zarak howled, stumbling forward into his own friends. The Velnari caught him, but barely. Maya climbed to her feet, her body singing with adrenaline, and probably a few cracked ribs. "Security is coming," someone yelled. "Good," Maya said, wiping blood from her chin. "They can review the security footage. See who started this." Zarak's eyes widened slightly. In his rage, he'd forgotten about the cameras that monitored every centimeter of the academy. His father's credits might excuse a lot of behavior, but assault caught on multiple angles was harder to dismiss. "This isn't over, Deathworlder." He straightened, trying to salvage some dignity despite the limp. "My family will make sure you regret ever setting foot in this academy." Maya laughed. It hurt her ribs, but she couldn't help it. The sound was sharp, almost unhinged. "Your family? You wanted to threaten me with your family?" She took a step forward. Zarak, despite his size, took a step back. "Let me tell you something about humans, Zarak, about Deathworlders. We evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Predators that could smell us from miles away, weather that could freeze or cook us within hours, diseases that wiped out entire populations. And you know what we did? We survived. We adapted, we conquered our entire world before we even left it." Another step. The crowd had gone completely silent now. "So please, bring your family's threats. Bring your father and his credits and his graviton ball trophies. Bring whatever you think will scare me, because I've already survived the worst thing in my life." She was close enough now to see the confusion in his eyes. "When I was 8 years old, my parents died in a transport accident. My grandmother raised me alone, working 3 jobs to send me here. She died 6 months ago from a disease your species can cure with a simple injection, but which costs more credits than a human family sees in a lifetime." Maya's voice never wavered, never rose above conversational level. Somehow that made it more terrifying. "So, when you tell me your family will make my life difficult, when you threaten to get me expelled or ruin my future, all I can think is, you already took everything I loved. What else is there to be afraid of?" Security finally arrived. 2 large Cormac officers pushing through the crowd. They took in the scene. Zarak surrounded by his friends, Maya standing alone with blood on her face and defiance in her eyes. "What happened here?" the lead officer demanded. 20 voices started talking at once. The officer held up a hand for silence, then pointed at the security camera. "Save it. We will review the footage. Everyone involved, come with us." As they were led away, Maya caught sight of Finn, giving her a thumbs up. Other students watched with expressions ranging from shock to admiration. The humans weren't supposed to fight back. They were supposed to accept their place as newcomers, as primitives lucky to be included at all. Maya had just rewritten that script. The disciplinary chamber was cold and sterile, designed to make students feel small and insignificant. Maya sat in a chair clearly built for larger species, her feet barely touching the floor. Zarak sat across from her, flanked by his parents. His father was even larger than his son, wearing enough jewelry to fund a small colony. His mother watched Maya with compound eyes that betrayed no emotion. Headmaster Quillen, a Velnari with silver scales and ancient eyes, reviewed the security footage for the 3rd time. Finally, he looked up. "This is most unfortunate." Zarak's father leaned forward, his voice carrying the weight of generations of privilege. "Headmaster, surely you can see that this human attacked my son without provocation. Her presence here has been controversial from the beginning. Perhaps it is time to acknowledge that Deathworlders are not ready for an institution of this caliber." Maya bit her tongue, literally. The fresh pain helped her focus instead of screaming at the injustice. "The footage shows something different, Ambassador Threx." The headmaster's tone was neutral, but Maya caught a glimmer of something in his eyes. "Amusement? Respect? Your son initiated physical contact, squeezed hard enough to dislocate Miss Chen's shoulder, and struck her in the face when she defended herself. She provoked him with her attitude." Zarak's mother spoke for the first time, her voice like wind chimes. These Deathworlders have no concept of proper social hierarchy. They should be grateful we even allow them in the same space as their betters. The headmaster's scales rippled, a sign of irritation. Madam, this academy was founded on principles of equality and merit. There is no hierarchy here except academic achievement. In theory, Ambassador Threx interrupted. But we all know reality is more nuanced. My family has supported this institution for 6 generations. Surely that counts for something when a nobody from a primitive world attacks our son. Maya felt her composure cracking. Her grandmother's voice whispered in her mind again, but this time it was harder to hear over the roaring in her ears. Excuse me! Everyone turned to look at her. Speaking out of turn in the disciplinary hearing was another violation, but Maya was so far past caring about rules that protected bullies and punished victims. I have something to say. Miss Chen, you will have your opportunity to speak when asked, the headmaster said, but there was no real heat in his words. No, I will speak now. Maya stood up, ignoring the throbbing in her shoulder and ribs, because I am done being quiet. I am done accepting that my species is somehow less than yours, because we had the audacity to survive a harder world than you can imagine. How dare you? Zarak's mother rose from her seat. Sit down, Maya's voice cracked like a whip. To everyone's shock, including her own, the Threxian matriarch actually hesitated. I am not finished. Ambassador Threx's face darkened with rage, but the headmaster held up a hand. Let her speak. Maya turned to face Zarak directly. You want to know why you lost? Why a human half your size put you on the ground twice? It's not because I am stronger. It's not because I am faster. It is because you have never had to fight for anything in your entire life. She gestured around the chamber. You were born into wealth and privilege. You attended the best schools, had the best tutors, never went hungry, never worried about where you would sleep or whether you could afford medicine when you got sick. Your biggest problems were which luxury transport to take or which exclusive party to attend. Zarak looked away, but Maya wasn't letting him off that easily. I grew up in a 3-room apartment with my grandmother. I studied by candlelight when we couldn't afford power. I wore clothes 3 years too small because buying new ones meant choosing between that or food. And you know what that taught me? That taught me how to be hungry, not for food. Though I knew that feeling too. Hungry for something better. Hungry enough to work harder than anyone else in this academy. Hungry enough to take a beating from someone twice my size and still get back up. She turned to his parents. Your son is weak, not physically, mentally, emotionally. You gave him everything except the ability to face genuine adversity. So when someone finally stood up to him, he crumbled. The silence that followed was absolute. Ambassador Threx looked like he was about to explode. His wife had gone completely still, a defensive posture among her species. Even Zarak seemed stunned by the verbal assault. Maya wasn't finished. Do you want to get me expelled? Go ahead. Send me back to Earth with nothing. It will not be the first time I have had to start over with nothing. It will not be the hardest thing I have ever done. But before you do, ask yourself this. What does it say about your son, about your family, about your entire species, that you need to destroy one human girl to feel secure? That is enough! Ambassador Threx slammed a fist on the table, cracking the surface. Headmaster, I demand this human be expelled immediately and banned from any galactic institution for life. Furthermore, I want legal action taken for assault and defamation. The headmaster looked at the ambassador for a long moment. Then, to everyone's surprise, he started laughing. It was a strange sound, like water running over stones, but unmistakably amusement. Ambassador Threx, in my 300 years as headmaster of this academy, I have never been more disappointed in a student's family. He stood, his full height making even the Threxians look small. Your son grabbed a fellow student without consent, causing physical injury. When she defended herself, he escalated to striking her in the face. All of this is documented from 7 different angles. But she humiliated him, Zarak's mother protested. He humiliated himself, the headmaster corrected. And now you compound that humiliation by demanding we punish his victim. Do you understand how this reflects on your family, on your species? The ambassador's face went through several color changes. You would take a Deathworlder's side over a founding family. I take the side of justice and truth, regardless of species or financial contribution. The headmaster's voice hardened. Here is my ruling. Zarak is suspended for 1 semester and will be required to complete sensitivity training and anger management courses before returning. Miss Chen will receive a formal apology and compensation for her medical treatment. Unacceptable, Ambassador Threx roared. Then withdraw your son from the academy, the headmaster said calmly. I will not compromise the integrity of this institution to soothe the ego of a bully and his enablers. The room erupted. Zarak's parents hurled threats and accusations. The headmaster remained unmoved, a mountain weathering a storm. Maya stood silently, hardly daring to believe what she was hearing. Finally, the ambassador grabbed his son by the arm. We are leaving. But this is not over, Quellen. The Threxian Empire will remember this insult. The Threxian Empire has more important concerns than one spoiled child's wounded pride, the headmaster replied. Good day, Ambassador. As the Threxian family stormed out, Maya found herself alone with the headmaster. Her legs suddenly felt weak, and she sat down heavily. Thank you, she whispered. Do not thank me yet, Miss Chen. The headmaster settled back into his chair with a sigh. You have made a powerful enemy today. The Threxians have long memories and deep pockets. I know. Maya looked at her hands, noticing they were still trembling. But I could not keep silent anymore. I just could not. I understand. The headmaster pulled up a file on his datapad. Your academic record is exemplary. Top 5% in every subject, despite having to work part-time in the cafeteria to pay for supplies. Your professors speak highly of your dedication and intelligence. Maya felt tears threatening but pushed them back. I try my best. You do more than try. You succeed against odds that would break most beings. He looked at her with something like respect. That speech you gave, about hunger and adversity, that was not rehearsed, was it? No, sir. It just came out. Raw honesty often does. He made a few notes on his pad. I am assigning you to advanced placement classes next semester. You have been operating below your potential, likely due to hostile environment factors. Let us see what you can accomplish when not constantly defending yourself. Maya's mouth fell open. Advanced placement? But the wait list alone is 2 years long. I am the headmaster. I can make exceptions for exceptional students. His scales rippled with definite amusement now. Besides, something tells me you will need stronger allies going forward. The advanced placement students include several species who respect strength, even in unusual packages. Over the following weeks, word of the confrontations spread through the academy like wildfire. Some students avoided Maya, afraid of being associated with someone who had challenged the established order. Others sought her out, including aliens, who had their own stories of being bullied or dismissed by the elite families. Finn became a genuine friend rather than a distant peer. Together with Sarah, the third human student, they formed a tight unit that looked out for each other. But Maya also found unexpected allies among other species. Crix, a Cormac engineer who had been mocked for choosing a working-class profession despite coming from a military family, began sitting with them at lunch. Telsa, a Valnari musician whose art was considered frivolous by her people, joined their study group. Even Cora, a young Threxian who had never fit in with her species' warrior culture, tentatively approached Maya one day. I wanted to say, Cora began, her voice barely above a whisper, that what you did was brave. Stupid, maybe, but brave. Maya smiled, though it pulled at her healing lip. Thank you, I think. Zarak has been, well, he has been that way to many of us. Not as violent, usually, but cruel in other ways. Cora twisted her hands together nervously. I am glad someone finally stood up to him. I just wish I had been that someone. Maybe next time you will be, Maya said gently. Sometimes we just need to see that it is possible before we find our own courage. The advanced placement classes were indeed challenging, but in the best way, surrounded by students who took their education seriously and professors who expected excellence rather than mediocrity. Maya thrived. Her grades soared. Her confidence grew. She even started enjoying the academy, something she had not thought possible. 3 months after the incident, Maya received an unexpected message. It was from Ambassador Threx, requesting a private meeting. She showed the message to the headmaster, who frowned. You are under no obligation to meet with him. In fact, I would advise against it. I know, Maya said, but I am curious. and I refuse to spend my life afraid of bullies, no matter how rich or powerful they are. The meeting took place in a neutral location, a meditation garden open to all species. Ambassador Threx was already there when Maya arrived, looking older and somehow smaller than she remembered. "Thank you for coming, Miss Chen." His voice lacked its former arrogance. "I did not expect you to accept." "Neither did I, honestly." Maya sat on a bench across from him, keeping distance between them. "Why did you want to meet?" "To apologize." The words seemed to cause him physical pain. "Not just for my son's actions, though those were inexcusable, but for my own behavior during the hearing. I let pride and tradition cloud my judgment." Maya studied him carefully, looking for signs of deception. "What changed your mind?" "My wife." A sad smile crossed his face. "After we left the academy, she barely spoke to me for a week. Then one night she asked me if I was proud of what our son had become. If I was proud of using our wealth and influence to excuse cruelty." He looked out over the garden, watching alien flowers sway in the artificial breeze. "I realized I was not. Zarak has been in therapy, real therapy, not the facade we arranged before. He is learning things about himself that are difficult to face. As am I." "I appreciate the apology," Maya said carefully. "But why tell me this? We both know your family could make my life very difficult if they wanted to." "Because you were right." He turned to face her fully. "About everything. We did give Zarak everything except the tools to handle adversity. We taught him that being Threxian and wealthy made him superior, when it really just made him fortunate. And when someone challenged that worldview, he had no idea how to respond except with violence." He stood, moving to leave, then paused. "I cannot undo the past, Miss Chen, but I wanted you to know that your words that day, they mattered. They started conversations in my family that were long overdue, perhaps even in my entire species." As he walked away, Maya sat in the garden for a long time, processing the encounter. She thought about her grandmother, who had taught her that strength came in many forms. Physical strength had gotten her through the confrontation with Zarak, but it was the strength of her convictions, her willingness to speak truth, regardless of consequences, that had created real change. The semester ended with Maya earning top marks in all her advanced classes. She was offered a research position with one of the Academy's most prestigious professors, studying Deathworld adaptations and their applications to galactic medicine. On the last day of term, as she packed her few belongings, Sarah knocked on her door. "Hey, you have got to see this." Maya followed her to the common area where a crowd had gathered around a holo display. It showed a news broadcast from Earth, and Maya's heart nearly stopped when she recognized the face on screen. It was her grandmother. Not a current image, but an archive photo from her military days. The reporter was explaining how Commander Chen had been posthumously awarded the Galactic Distinguished Service Medal for her contributions to Earth Defense Forces and for pioneering cultural exchange programs that had helped humans integrate into galactic society. "Your grandmother was Commander Chen?" Finn looked at Maya with wide eyes. "The Commander Chen who negotiated first contact protocols?" Maya nodded, unable to speak past a lump in her throat. She had known her grandmother was military, but not the scope of her service. The broadcast showed footage of a younger version of her grandmother, standing alongside alien dignitaries, helping build the bridges that would eventually lead to humans attending places like the Galactic Academy. "She would be proud of you," Sarah said softly. Maya wiped her eyes. "I hope so. I really hope so." As the semester closed and students departed for their home worlds, Maya stood at a viewport, watching ships come and go. She thought about the scared girl who had arrived here a year ago, trying to be invisible, trying not to make waves. That girl was gone, transformed by fire and conflict into someone stronger. The galaxy was a harsh place, full of species who saw humans as primitive newcomers, but Maya had learned something important that semester. Sometimes the biggest mistake someone could make was underestimating a human who had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. She touched the viewport, feeling the cold glass against her palm, and smiled. Next semester would bring new challenges, but she was ready. More than ready, she was hungry for them.